Welcome to Brutally Anna, a podcast about finding love, losing love, and all the things we think about but don't talk about enough. I'm your host, Anna Kai, aka maybe both across social media, here to remind you that life can be beautiful even when it's freaking brutal. My guest today, Anna Akana, is one of the OG YouTubers with millions of subscribers and a career that spans the better part of the last decade, which now branches into comedy, film, and TV, sold-out stand-up specials, and a best-selling book. She's an unapologetic cat lady and uses her highly produced and cinematic YouTube videos to comment on everything from emotional manipulation to the one person you shouldn't date. No stranger to tragedy, Anna found her way into comedy while finding ways to cope with the sudden loss of her sister and is here to remind us all that we are not alone, even in our darkest moments.
Oh my God, what a beautiful intro.
What an honor to be here. As I was saying to you before we started, I grew up watching you, so I always assumed that you were so much older than me because I remember finding you in the OG YouTube days when I was in college at NYU. And I look you up and I'm like, this bitch is a year older than me. She has had her shit together this whole time. I have been trying to figure it out. I was like, oh my gosh, we are literally the same age.
We are, and we both look so young. You look so young.
For you,
Anna.
it's the genetics. For me, it's the Botox.
No, I also have Botox.
Okay, great. We love hashtag Allergan ladies. We're good.
But also, I love your content too. So it was such an honor for you to reach out to me and ask me to be on this because I was like, I love your shit. Like the chads and the stories and the empowerment and how to not lose yourself in dating, how to not make yourself small just for the sake of romantic love. I just think it's such a beautiful message that so many women need to hear.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's so hard because it's interesting. You're not quite single, which we'll get into, but you've been, like, we're the same age. I've been with my husband and married for the last 7 years. So I've actually been out of the game for a while.
Oh my gosh.
But you have been doing it this whole time and in your 30s in LA.
Yeah.
What has that been like?
It's a nightmare. I think, a lot of people who come to LA have delusions of grandeur, which sometimes pay off. I also have delusions of grandeur.
Which did pay off for you career-wise.
But I think there's like a deep fear of intimacy. And I say dating in LA is like talking to someone at a party and they keep looking over your shoulder to see who walked into the room.
That is my biggest pet peeve when you're at a party and you can just see their eyes shift this way and they're like, And I'm like, that's fine. You don't want to talk to me. It's all good.
Yeah.
So dating in LA is like that. Did you do the apps? What did you do?
I'm on the apps.
Okay.
My last couple of relationships have been on the apps, but now I'm doing this thing where I just slide into the DMs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the current person I'm dating, they had a viral Instagram reel of them in the like Peruvian mountains with a dog. And this random dog found them. And so they made like a funny little reel about it. And I just DM'd and I was like, I want this dog's info. I need this tour guide in my life. And then
That was your pickup line?
That was my pickup line. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And he was like, game on.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you're coming to the UK for your tour. Let's hang out. I could be your tour guide. So.
And how long has it been since you guys have been seeing each other?
It's very new. It's been like a couple of months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're
nascent.
Still
embryonic. I'm jinxing it now.
No, it's okay. We're not saying his name. We're not outing him, so you're not jinxing it.
Yeah.
But that's good. You know what? I hope it works out so that one day we can look back at this episode and you'd be like, this is where it started.
Well, you are my future. I'm like, I want the rock. I want the settled married life. I want to be off the market with someone who's amazing.
Do you want to live in Connecticut? Really go full grandma?
Yeah, I'll get a dog.
You know what my girlfriend said the other day? She had just gotten back from Miami and we live in the same town and she's an influencer too. She was like, I went to Pilates class in our town and I thought it was going to be like sexy Pilates because you know how Pilates is so in right now and you see all these videos and there's all these beautiful women doing Pilates. She's like, I go to Pilates in our town in Connecticut and she's like, it's all 80-year-olds. It's all women literally just trying to stay alive and me.
Oh my God.
She was like, I didn't know whether to feel too young or whether to be inspired or whether I just felt like I had moved out here too early. But, that's what happens. You get married and you get soft.
I like that though. Live your soft girl life. Also, why is it always I love the fact that the 80-year-old women were like, we're gonna work on our pelvic floor. Like it's always the women who are in all the classes doing the self-improvement. Like
do the Kegels, girl, because that shit actually does catch up with you. I was every now and then when I sneeze or I laugh now, I pee a little and it's really not great. And I don't work on my Kegels.
Have you done the bullet?
What's the bullet?
So there's like a weighted bullet. You can like walk around. You're supposed to walk around your house with it in you and like hold it there like maybe 10 minutes a day. And then you squeeze and then you walk around and you do your housework for like 20 minutes and then you take it out. And then there's heavier ones that you can progress to. But it's supposed to, like help your pelvic floor. Have I done it? Yes.
You have?
Yeah, of course I have.
Is it great?
It's really hard.
Okay. Why do men not have to deal with this?
I don't know.
That's absurd. Not only do we get periods, we lose control of our, pelvic floor and we have menopause. Like, I forgot, like, after we stop getting our periods, we have menopause. So that's really fun to deal with.
We need a tax break. Like, there needs to be a specific tax break. And, like, tampons aren't even free in public restrooms.
I know. It's the tampon. And also, I found out tampons were created by men, which is, I don't use tampons. Yeah. So I use menstrual cups, which flex all the way. They're not paying me to say this. It's amazing because, tampons, there is still a risk of TSS and all these things. Menstrual discs, you do feel like you're fingering yourself, but it's this like plastic cup. Have you seen them?
Yes.
And you just like literally 2 fingers and you shove it up.
I couldn't get it in there.
You couldn't?
No, I don't have a period because I'm on hormonal birth control. Okay. But I also found out they never tested tampons with blood until like 2021 or something.
They tested it with like freaking like dyed water or something.
What the fuck is that?
And menstrual blood is very different than regular blood because like clots.
Fun.
So, I was just thinking, I was like, menstrual discs were created by women and they're really safe. And they will never advertise that you can keep it in for like extended periods of time. But I found this out the hard way. You don't know they're up there when they're up there. I mean, give it a second. Serious. Okay. It's worth it. Although you don't get a period, so it doesn't matter. I get periods and it's like, I left one up there for, I shit you not, 3 months by accident.
What?
I actually left 2 up there.
What?
Because here's the problem. You put it up there and because there's no, like, you're not like on heightened alert because you're not going to get TSS from it. It's like medical grade, like silicone or plastic or whatever.
Was it like a dam though? Like
no, like I left it up there and then I didn't think about it. And then I like put another one up there, my second cycle.
Anna.
And so I go to my gyno for my annual and she's got the speculum.
Shut up.
And then she goes, I see something shiny up there. And I was like, what? She was like, hold on, let me see. And she gets those massive ass pliers, and she goes in. And I was like, what the fuck could be shiny? I was like, do I have like, HIV? Like, oh my God. I was like, what is this? You never want your gynecologist to be confused when she's looking at your vagina. Yeah. And then she like literally pulls out this menstrual disc that's been sitting. I don't even know how long it was in there for, to be honest. And she's like, oh, wait, hold on. There's another one.
What?
She pulls out the second one. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I've noticed that I've had very little discharge over the last couple months because,
did your husband not feel something?
Oh, no, I wasn't. This was a long time ago. This was not, I was single, freaking single as hell. And like, you can have sex when you have a menstrual disc in. And what happened was, it just kept getting shoved up there. So it was really, really up there. So I didn't feel it at all.
Were there no physical consequences?
No. I have been the guinea pig.
But what happened? Okay, I'm confused because then you have like 3 months worth of blood just accumulating behind this disc. Would it not have the pressure of it shot it out of your vagina?
So what happened was because it went so far up there, the blood was like coming around it. So that's why I put a second one up there. It was so irresponsible of me. Actually, one of the less stupid things I've done, but yes, it was really dumb. And I've done it a couple times more since then. I've left it in there for maybe like a couple days more than I thought. But now, every now and then, I just, when I'm in the bathroom, I just like...
Just check.
Just like finger yourself and check, make sure there's no plastic swimming around in there. But yes, that has happened. It's... Yeah, because at first I was like, did a condom get up there? Because I've lost a condom.
It is like
there.
kind of a black hole. Like you just throw things in there. My friend convinced me to put a garlic clove up my fucking vagina once when I had a UTI, and then it got stuck in there and it was too far to reach. And you're just like trying. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just get antibiotics?
I don't know because I thought my
That's
friend
so Asian, by the way, to like. Try to cure yourself.
Yeah. Here, I'll shove garlic up there. Oh, it was awful. My doctor had to get it out and was like, why the fuck did you do this?
I'm actually really curious to what garlic looks like after it's been like fermenting in your vagina.
Yeah, it's pruny.
Was it like, did he pull it out whole?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it
But
didn't at least.
it was soft.
It wasn't like smashed garlic in your vagina.
No, it
like no garlic press situation up
It wasn't
there.
minced. No.
Okay, it wasn't minced.
It was just fermented, you know?
You didn't do a good enough job on your
I
kegels.
know.
I'm sorry.
I know, I'm
What should have
sorry.
been?
The pH balance was off. I had a UTI.
Yeah, so you should have just gotten antibiotics.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
antibiotics after that, and then I also had to deal with the fallout of having just garlic stuck up there for so long.
Wait, what did that do?
It like threw off my. I think I got BV from it, so then I had to start like bombing it with boric acid suppositories. Yeah, it was a time.
Being a woman is so fun.
It's so
You know,
stupid.
It is so dumb. And like I get horrible mood swings around that time of the month, which have since been mostly resolved since I've gone on Zoloft. It has really truly saved my life.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk about depression and trauma.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing that you make very clear is that like there was like a before and an after in your life, and that was when your sister commits suicide.
Mhm.
Can you tell me about that? You were so young. She was so young. And you've talked about it extensively, but I remember watching your video from forever ago on YouTube about, I mean, you were just so raw on it.
Oh,
And
thanks.
I was like shocked because most of the time nowadays when people cry on camera, it's a very rehearsed crying, but you
Yeah.
just kind of like press play and just dumped it all out of
Yeah.
there. What was your life before she commits suicide and what was it after?
Before it was, I'm going to go into the military because that's what my dad wants me to do. And he wants me to be a doctor or a lawyer within the military. So those were my plans. And I was kind of raised with this expectation of you're going to go to college for the military. You're going to become an officer. You're going to enlist in the Marine Corps. And this is what your life is. And so I would go to summer camps for ROTC. I was like a part of Color Guard. I was very much on that track. And like deep down, I always wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be an artist, but you're raised by someone who tells you that's not an option. And my brother actually was doing modeling and doing voiceover work as a child. And my sister got really into it. So she was doing it. But I was always like, oh, that's not my path. And I deeply envied them. And then she committed suicide in 2007. And at that point, I think I was 17 at the time and really forced to look at my mortality and the fact that, I am going to die someday and life isn't fair and things don't necessarily work out the way that you want them to. And it's bizarre to watch my friends go through that now with their parents passing away or, spouses passing away, unfortunately, or friends. And I'm kind of known as the person in the group to go to when you experience a death to be like, how do I turn this into something? Do I turn it into something? How do I cope in a healthy way with it? But the after was really just a stark realization of, I should go after the things that I want because I don't know what we have beyond this. And I get this one precious fucking life. And so I've been really blessed where I was like, okay, I'm going to not go to the military. I found stand-up, fell in love with stand-up, started doing that, started doing YouTube, started doing acting. And I've just never really been afraid of trying things. Like a lot of my friends get nervous about being bad. And so I don't want to try to do this thing, but it's really what I want to do. Or I have to go get a biology degree because that's what my Asian parents want me to do. And then after that, maybe I can try acting in my 30s. And I'm like, you don't have to listen to them. Right. You are going to die. And so I think the after, it's also just made me like take chances with love and like know everything is going to be okay and kind of has shown me what the real rock bottom of life can be. So everything else hasn't really seemed as bad in comparison.
And I love what you said in that video. You said, you wish she would have stuck around because there were so many more years for things to change. And I think as somebody who I've never been suicidal, I think there's a clear distinction between people who, are truly on the verge of committing suicide versus I've had very bad clinical depression, but at no point was I ever like, I want to end it. It was just more like I got to a point where I was like, I could see why people end it because it's really pointless to live like this. But there's always this feeling that like it'll get better. And, you wish that she had that. Did you know that she was that depressed or that, unhappy with her life, that she was on the verge of doing that?
No, I mean, and that's the hard thing is we're never going to really know what the truth was. Like, did she have some kind of mental health issue? Was it the impulsive actions of a 13-year-old? Like everything seems like the end of the world when you're 13. Did she just do it to get back at us? Did she understand the severity of these actions? Like these are things we'll just kind of never know. And so it's hard for me to classify necessarily like, was she even depressed? Like, I know she was upset. She had reason to be upset. She was being bullied. She was in a new school. She had been expelled from a previous school because like a bunch of boys had threatened to beat her up. And so she brought an airsoft gun to protect herself. And then she was the one who was expelled. Even though she had complained to teachers, like, these boys have threatened to like hurt me. This is before they even really took bullying quite seriously in schools. And so it's hard to know. It's really hard to know. And I think that plagued me for like maybe 7 to 9 years of just like not having an answer and like being okay with the fact that I'll never have an answer.
There's no closure. It's
Yeah.
not like she didn't leave a note. She didn't like, tell you guys this is what I'm going to do. And so you guys are kind of just stuck there trying to like, make an answer out of nothing. Did it bring you closer with the rest of your family?
No. And actually, my parents have never talked about my sister's suicide until I started doing my 1 hour special about it about a year and a half ago. Because I was like, hey, I need to fact check some stuff with you guys. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, it's for work? Yeah, sure. We'll talk about this trauma.
Also
if it's
very
for,
Asian.
So Asian.
Wait, so how did you guys handle it in the direct aftermath? They didn't want to talk about
We
it?
didn't talk about it. We went to one group therapy session. My brother and I didn't like it. So they're like, you don't have to go. That was really it. And from then on, they were just like, be happy, do what you want. Just be happy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's actually weird because you say like the fact that she didn't even know. My whole life, from 17 to 34, I thought she'd left a note. And that my dad just wouldn't let us read it. And so I asked about it during this call, and he goes, no, there was never a note. And my whole family was like, wait, what? My brother and my mom thought there was a note that he just refused to show us.
Wait, where was this assumption coming from?
He literally said he read something that she wrote, but it turned out to be a diary entry.
Oh.
But we were like, what do you mean? You said like you would never show us. He was like, yeah, because it's her diary. It's private. I'm not going to let you guys read that. But we were like, you said it was a suicide note. And he was like, no, there's no note.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys didn't talk about it for a decade. I mean, did they express any emotion at the time or anything? Or was there just basically just like, let's just figure out how to survive?
Everyone was kind of grieving on their own. We just went to different parts of the room and cried.
You didn't cry together?
No.
Also,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want to express too much emotion because it's almost like you don't want to put your emotions on the other person, even though the other person's feeling the exact same shit you are.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that happened. You said you turned to drugs for a while.
I did.
Now you've created this amazing life and you've obviously made something good out of it. But what happened there?
My boyfriend at the time was really into drugs. And I was like, well, I don't like feeling grief. I too would like some drugs. So I started taking LSD and MDMA and like being really high every day. There'd be moments where I was just tripping balls on LSD by myself in my room day after day after day after day. And then I worked at this like really shitty pizza shop called Villa Pizza in Temecula, and also worked at GameStop. And I would just be like high out of my fucking mind, just tripping balls at these places, just working. And I was like, she died my senior year, so I didn't apply for colleges because I was like, what's the point of any of that?
Right.
And did that for about 2 years, I think, just like bombing my brain with any kind of substance to like get me to not be present anymore. And eventually saw Margaret Cho perform stand-up and had like this really beautiful 30 minutes where my sister's death just wasn't in the forefront of my mind, and I like got relief and I laughed for the first time in ages. And also she looked like me. She's the first woman I ever saw who looked like me doing this. So I was like, oh, like maybe I could do this too. And so from then on, I kind of felt like a renewed sense of purpose, and I felt alive again.
Margaret Cho saved your life.
She really did. I have told her multiple times. She's like, I get it.
Yeah, she's like, okay, cool.
Cool. You don't have to say this every time you see me.
That's amazing. I mean, I also think, we were talking about how life isn't fair, and I really think that because how many kids do a shit ton of drugs in their early 20s and don't survive to tell the tale? I just think like I did a ton of shit in my 20s that probably should have killed me.
Yeah.
You went to work high every day for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And now people try cocaine or MDMA once and they die because it's laced with amphetamines or fentanyl. And it's just so unfair. And actually, have you been following the story about that girl that's been missing in the Dominican?
No.
There's a University of Pittsburgh student that's missing and presumed dead by her parents. She went to Punta Cana on spring break and she's missing and they can't find her. And, there's like surveillance footage of her being a 20-year-old on spring break, drinking at an outdoor bar with some friends and some guys. And I was like reading the YouTube comments and people were, everybody has sort of oh, it's what is it? She should have gone home to see her parents. Like she shouldn't have gone to the Dominican. It's so dangerous there. I'm like, dude, like you weren't young and stupid once.
Yeah.
Like I've done so much stupid shit, and it's like you could have died from
Yeah.
any of that, you know?
It's really weird how the online culture has made everyone so insensitive to shit now. It's almost like, well, what did you do
Yeah.
that led you to be kidnapped?
Yeah. It's like why are we a girl literally was just out here living her life and like she probably is not alive anymore. Her parents asked the DR officials to declare her legally dead because it's like it's been 13 days. They're like she's
Oh,
gone. And I was
man.
like that is so tough, but they don't have a body, they don't have any answers. So I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, life is so unfair.
Yeah.
And there are so many times when I just get down on just my life. I'm like, where do I want to be? Like, I let the negative talk get the better of me. But I also think, like, how many people would just kill to have the opportunity to just try?
Yeah.
You know, you were saying you're not afraid to try because I think when you really understand, like, literally we could die tomorrow. Who cares? Who cares if you make a video and it doesn't hit? Who cares if you do a joke and it doesn't land, right? How do you get over that in the beginning? When was your first stand-up open mic? I assume you started an open mic.
My first show I did 8 minutes.
Oh my God.
I did 8 minutes on an actual show. It was so bad. Life has been really weird to me where it's like it just shortcuts me in every possible way for better or worse. But I really enjoyed it. Like the few times I got a laugh, I was like, ooh, this feels good. I like it. I think what everyone could do is give themselves permission to be dog shit for a couple of years. Like I've gone into everything I've ever done with like, yeah, you can be shit at this for a couple of years and then reevaluate in like 5 to 10 after you've been doing it for a while to see if are you good at it? Do you like it? Are you improving?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for people to hear because in our current social media environment, everything is so instantaneous.
Yeah.
Like you see people going viral like overnight and people having these massive careers and you don't understand that it probably took a lot of time for them to get there.
Yeah.
And I think what's inspiring about you to me is that you have longevity in this whole social media. I mean, you've proved that you can make a career out of it. It's been your whole career.
Ever since GameStop, YOLO. I think the last couple of years I've really worked on divorcing my satisfaction from results and tying it more to process. Because I think, especially coming from an Asian background, you're like, well, my dad's love is literally parallel to how much I achieve. And like the only times my dad has ever really told me he's proud of me or he loves me are when I've achieved something. And so it was really ingrained to be like, well, you have to create accolades. You have to like get to a different level. If you achieve this goal, then like things are okay. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's no way to live. And then you're not happy with what you have and you start taking everything for granted. So now I'm much more process focused, which has oddly and ironically created more results for me. Like the less I'm obsessed with the outcome and the more I'm like, well, am I fucking enjoying like writing this script or like, am I having fun like actually making this and talking about this, then the results always tend to be better for me. But it's only when I'm not focused on that. When I'm so hyper focused on like, well, I need to get to this thing and this thing and this thing, then they're like so elusive because you're not actually coming from a place of enjoying what you're doing.
I love that. And yeah, and I think that's the thing is like my parents, are your parents immigrants?
Yeah.
Okay, so my parents are immigrants too. And I think for them, the accolades and the achievement, that was a survival tactic.
Mm.
They had to get to the next rung because they had to effectively put food on the table, you know? So I get that. But I think for us, it's like, it's just a weird thing that I've had to kind of, because I'm very new at this. I'm 2 years in.
Damn, girl.
Which
okay, Anna.
Which is wild. But then at the same time, I'm like, how do I stay in this business without letting everything that doesn't work out for me, even though so much has worked out, get to me,
It's weird because in our line of work, it's almost like paycheck to paycheck, but it's big paycheck to big paycheck. But you usually have a lot of business expenses. You have a lot of things to do, and like they're spread out so much more. So there is this kind of rationing that needs to happen. But your husband's right. Like it is seasons.
Yes.
And I find most often Christmas is when I have my mental breakdown because like the entertainment industry closes and you're like, there's no emails. There's nothing coming in. What do I do? Even though the whole year you've been waiting for Christmas break so you can be relaxed.
Exactly. And then you spend all your free time. I went down a deep rabbit hole over Christmas. I use TikTok like a consumer in the way that I've never used it before because I'm a millennial. I like Instagram. I don't do the doom scrolling on TikTok. I went down the TikTok rabbit hole. All I consumed was Luigi Mangione content and that Muppet Madonna. I don't know if you very, very niche. But I went deep down the Luigi Mangione rabbit
So hot.
hole. He's really attractive. I was like, I would not mind it if he was let go. I don't know.
I want to write him a letter.
I
You know how we said everyone needs to limit 3 to 5 pictures now? I was like, I need to send this man a photo of my cats. I just need to send him a photo of myself, my
I
2
would
cats.
love to write him a letter because he's like, I read all the letters. Imagine Luigi Mangione reading your letter.
What would you say to him?
I have no idea. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Would you want to make it funny? Would you want to make it poignant? Like, he does seem like a sociopath in some ways, but, you know, did you hear about the thing that came out about him that apparently before he did what he did or allegedly did what he did, he filmed all these pornos of himself, all these like highly produced sex tapes. I know.
Where are they?
I don't know.
For reasons.
For reasons.
Where are they? Where is this evidence?
I know, for this evidence to give to the judge. Yeah, somebody, apparently like a reliable source was like, I saw one of these sex tapes and I wish I didn't.
What does that mean?
Well, they said he was really into filming himself in the act. And it wasn't just like an iPhone video. It was like apparently the women in them do not want to come forward and talk about it because obviously they don't want to be associated with alleged murderer.
Oh my God. Why wouldn't you? I would be like, this will raise my profile. Like,
I know. You should just come forward as one of them.
I should.
Honestly.
Guys, I hate to break it to you, but that's me.
Yeah,
that's me on the footage.
No one has the footage and nobody else is coming forward, so you might as well.
I love, did you see all the things on social media where people were like, I was with Luigi Mangione on December, whatever, like the date and time that he killed the guy, and everyone was just doing little photoshopped images of them with him.
I know. And all the like the AI stuff, it's actually ridiculous. I was like, but you know, at first I didn't quite get the hype. And then like the turning point for me was when he got off of that helicopter in New York, surrounded, and he just looked like a superhero. And I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I saw the photo they did of Luigi looking like a woman, and I was like,
oh, yes. I know. And I'm like, wait, so are you bisexual?
I'm very bisexual.
Okay, so you are attracted to women too.
Yes. I'm attracted to Luigi Mangione.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Woman or man, if he was a female version, you'd be attracted to him too.
Oh, absolutely.
When did you realize you were bisexual?
I think like middle school or high school. But then a friend told me I was just trying to be interesting. I was a straight girl trying to be interesting. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm just a straight girl trying to be interesting. I'm not bisexual.
People are horrible.
People are stupid. And also, she's like, it's a girl I kissed. So I'm like, I think you were just, internalized. All this internalized homophobia was coming to the surface. But yeah.
Okay, so you realized that early. You came out pretty late, though.
I came out at like 28.
Had you been dating women up until that point just in secret?
No, I was like, I've always felt like my bisexuality wasn't real because I was overwhelmingly attracted to men. Like there were maybe 3 or 4 women my whole life I've had romantic feelings for, and they were women I knew quite well. Like, and we started as friends first. So I was like, oh, maybe it just happens for women sometimes where you develop feelings for like your female friends. But then I talked to my friend Ash Perez, who's also bisexual, and they were saying like, well, I'm mostly attracted to women, but I've maybe been attracted to like 2 men my whole life, but I'm still bisexual. And I was like, oh, okay. And them phrasing it that way gave me the validity and the validation I required to feel like, okay, I can own this label. And I have dated women since then, but I find it difficult because I really like a strong mask woman. I like a woman who looks like a boy who skateboards. Like that is my type. But they're in short supply in LA, and they're taken, and you have to find them the moment they break up and snatch them.
Are they really in short supply? I figured this would be the place to find them.
They are such hot commodities.
Okay.
They have limitless options. And I attract a lot of lipstick lesbians because my energy is so masculine and dominant that a lot of the little lipstick mommies are like,
but you're not attracted to them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Your energy is masculine and dominant, but you don't feel like a man to me.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I don't mean that in a good or bad way. Okay, so is that why you've mostly dated men?
Yes.
Because you are attracted to that masculine energy. You almost need somebody to out-masculine you.
I do. And I've met maybe like 2 women my whole life who can. Otherwise, it just becomes, I'm the caretaker now. I am daddy. And I don't want to be daddy.
You don't want to be daddy. You want to be the princess. You want to be taken care of. It's funny because you're like 5 feet tall and you're tiny. Think about that. Yeah. And you're talking about like you in another life having this illustrious military career. And I was like, what? Not in combat, obviously.
No. I mean, my dad taught me how to shoot and stuff when I was a kid.
Okay.
But yeah, I wasn't.
I was gonna say, I was like, I don't think anybody's trying to send you out onto a battlefield. I'm so
To
sorry.
be fair, like when we did drills, like capture the flag, I would piss my pants in order to make sure we won. I would run with the flag,
Really?
full piss my pants. Yeah. I was down for the cause.
That is amazing. Do you think that in another life you would have just been okay in the military? Do you think
Oh,
you thrived? Do you
I'd be
think you
very
would
good.
eventually just come back to comedy anyways? Or do you think like, hey, because I always think about that. I'm like, oh, what would have happened if I just chose a different path? Like, would I have been happy? Would I have not? You know?
I think if my sister had not died, I would have gone into the military, and I think I probably would have excelled in the leadership position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leading people. Yeah, you have a very masculine energy. Not that feminine energy can't be leaders. So your sister passing away so young, can you tell me about how we deal with grief in the immediate aftermath? Because I think that's the toughest part is that like you've had so long now to
Yeah.
deal with it, but how do you immediately deal with grief? Like when your friends come to you after they just lose a parent or after they just lose their spouse or a friend, what's your advice to them?
I always tell people the false information about grief is that you're supposed to get over a person, and you don't. Like if they meant enough to you and you love them enough, that relationship continues to evolve without them. And that, someone doesn't really die until the ripples they had in the world are gone. So in my mind, I'm like, I carry my sister forward with me. She has saved so many lives that she has no idea about. She's in my show. I communicate her story. So she lives on, and all these other people who like know of her. And a lot of the times I tell my friend, take all the time you need to actually feel your feelings. That's really important, I think, in the aftermath. We want everything to go away. We want to jump back into work. We want to distract ourselves. But like feelings demand to be expressed. And if you're not processing them adequately, they're going to show up in different areas of your life you don't want them to. And then I have a couple of friends who lost someone really near and dear to them from like a sudden, I think it's called sudden epilepsy death syndrome, where they just died in the middle of the night due to epilepsy. And they were talking to me and they're like, what do we do with this? Like, we feel at a loss. And I was like, well, what you can do is they both had a platform. And I was like, you can create a organization to honor him and to help epilepsy research so that doesn't happen to any other kids. And so they did. They ended up being like, oh, okay, we can make meaning out of this. We can use his story. We can take our influence, and I think they've raised to date maybe like $1 or $2 million for epilepsy research. And I was like, the best thing you really can do with grief is like make meaning out of it in a way that's going to serve you and that's going to save other people. And that gives us a sense of, I got this from Viktor Frankl, who talks about like suffering without meaning is just suffering. But if you can give meaning to your suffering, it can become this like beautiful thing. And so many beautiful things we have in the world are inspired by some of the worst tragedies that have happened. So I'm like, if you can make meaning out of this, like, and if you can own it, then like nothing else can fucking touch you ever. And it can be the worst thing that ever happened to you, but also be the best thing that ever happened to you.
That's amazing. And I think about that because I haven't lost many people in my life, but I lost my grandfather 2 years ago. And that was the
I'm so
first
sorry.
person in, and when people say that, it's almost like, I feel like I'm like, do you have a right to be even sad because he was 95 and he passed away peacefully? It's like, it's the way we all hope to go. So I think about, comparing that versus like your sister losing her life at such a young age. And I'm just like, I'm sorry too, but like, it was time. He was sick for a while. But I was so naive to how I thought about death before his death because I was like, oh, when he goes, like, we know it's coming. I'll be okay with it. And I really wasn't. I was like, wait, this person that was in my life is just not here anymore. Like, they're never going to be here, and regardless of what I think about, after all of this, he's not physically here anymore. And I just had a really hard time with that. And I think ultimately what I realized was more so I was already creating content at that point, but I also just realized like, what are you doing if you're fucking around with people that you don't want to be hanging out with? If you don't want to be dating somebody, if if you're waiting for a guy to text you back, like you could die tomorrow.
Yeah.
People are like, how do you let go? I'm like, do you want to go to your grave knowing that you were waiting around for some douchebag to text you back?
Yeah.
Or like with friendships, right? Like there were some friends where I was like, we don't really need to be friends. Like it was like, you're friends out of habit at a certain point and you're like, we don't enjoy each other's company. Like, let's just not. His death to me brought a renewed sense of I only want to spend time doing the things with the people that I want to be spending time with. I don't want to be, doing things out of obligation. And I think in your 20s, you do that a lot. You're like, oh, I've kept a group of friends for a long time. Like, I should just keep up with them, even though you've sort of grown apart and you don't have anything in common anymore. Or, the guy that keeps coming back in and out of your life. I'm like, these people, I'm like, do you understand you're going to die?
Yeah. I think most people are just wounds walking around in a trench coat and they don't have the understanding yet of like, and I think it hits you at a certain point when you have the pattern enough times to be like, why the fuck am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I choosing this again and again and again in every person? And luckily, it does take, and not luckily, but like sometimes it does take something very jarring, like losing someone you've known your entire life and reckoning with the fact that you never get to talk to them ever again, as far as we know, in order for people to have that realization. But also, your grief is valid. You loved that man. He was in you knew him your entire life.
Right.
If you weren't sad, you would be a fucking sociopath, Anna.
Right.
And yes, it's a more quote unquote natural death. Like it's the natural order of things. That doesn't make it any less painful. Like I think suicide's unique because it comes with a lot of guilt and shame and what if, and especially losing a child comes with its own like unfairness. But it doesn't necessarily mean like, yeah, my sister's death, it meant a lot more than your grandfather's death, Anna.
Right.
But
right.
I can understand how it feels that way. Like I have a friend who they adopted a kitten and one weekend this kitten developed a fatal disease and died. And they are fucked up about it. And they were like, we only knew this creature for a week. Why are we this sad? And I was like, because it was the promise of 20 years.
Right.
It's the dream that this was going to be your kid for 20 years. Like,
Right.
and even now it's been 6 months. And like, I was talking to them and they're like, yeah, we feel so weird that we're like still sad about this. And I'm like, but you get to be sad, you know? I don't know why we're always constantly trying to justify why we should feel sad or not sad. We live in a fucking like late stage capitalist world. We should be sad every moment of every fucking day. Like it's bullshit that we don't get to like frolic in the forest and eat berries, you know? I don't know. I just think like death is also this thing we don't talk about, so people don't know how to talk about it, and then it makes us not want to talk about it because we're afraid of getting it wrong.
Right.
And I'm like, there is no real getting it wrong.
It just happens.
Yeah.
And you feel how you feel.
You feel how you feel.
Woof. That was good. That was so powerful. Okay, so your sister's death, did it help you date in any way in the sense that you didn't fuck around with douchebags, or did you still do all of that?
No, I mean, the douchebag things is because of my dad. I, for a long time, I feel like I have to earn love. So if I was with someone who just gave me love for no reason, I was like, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
What? I haven't even proven myself to you. What's this for? So that's something I worked on for a really long time. And also I think with my sister's death, I found a lot of people who had experienced death themselves or were in the throes of it. Like one of my significant relationships, his brother had committed suicide relatively recently. And so we were together for so long because I felt like I was uniquely equipped to help him through that. And I felt like this need and responsibility.
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think I've gotten a lot better in the sense of if I'm with someone and it's clear they're not choosing me, they're not changing the things that need to be changed, then I leave. But I give people a shot because I know that that kind of change isn't instantaneous. And I think we live in a world that encourages a dating culture that does not leave room for nuance. It doesn't leave the room required to communicate and learn how to love each other. Like there's almost if he doesn't do this for you, like fuck him. Or if she wanted to, she would. Or like all this stuff that kind of doesn't account for like how isolated and weird and hard things have become in a post-pandemic social media driven world.
Yes. But also then how do you okay, so if you're saying like, okay, if I'm going to give a guy a chance and he's not giving me the time of day, if he wanted to, he would, that doesn't apply, then what does apply? At what point do you say, this is not working out for me? Or when do I give him more chances?
I communicate what I need.
Okay.
And I give them an opportunity to change. And if someone's not even giving me the time of day, that's a message. I'm not going to fuck around with someone who's in, oops, sorry.
Oh, good.
That's my meter. We're in LA. I am such a strong believer in communicate the message, give people a chance. Because sometimes we're not mind readers. We don't know what we did wrong. And if someone's telling you, it's because they care about you and they want you to change that. And if someone is still fucking up after that, then yeah, kick them out of your life. They don't care enough to change.
What do you hope for the future in terms of like what your relationship looks like?
I'm really ready to settle down. I think for a long time, I was emotionally unavailable. I had a dating coach who helped me realize this. So I would choose emotionally unavailable people because I knew they'd never give me what I want. Well, I could freely express love and feel like I was going after love when I knew in the back of my mind it was never going to work out. So I want to be with the partner. I want to be in a secure attachment. I want to like get married. Yeah, I want to have like a nice, peaceful. I understand why all the old people are like, you bring me such peace.
Yes.
And that's why I love you. And I'm like, yeah, I get it now.
Yeah, I don't want to be challenged when I
Yeah.
come home.
Yeah.
All right, like I am challenged enough in my day-to-day life. When I go home, like my husband is my like comfort space, right? We don't do exciting things together. We rot on the couch together and watch Dateline and are constantly reminded that it could be worse. You know, you could be dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really the theme of this whole episode. I feel like it's you could be dead. So go for it. Fucking post the video.
Yeah.
Do the open mic. Do the freaking 8-minute stand-up.
Why not?
Why not?
Why
Okay.
not?
Why not? If you suck, you'll be dead at some point anyway, so it won't matter.
I'm sure you've given all the dating advice that there is in the world to people, but would you give specific advice if people are on the husband hunt?
You know what? Allow yourself to be tired. I hear this all the time from people who are like, I'm so tired of dating. I'm like, nobody said it was going to be easy. Like, you know that when it comes to your career, right? Women know that, like, oh, it's going to take time. It's going to take effort. I'm going to have to do a lot of shitty things to get to where I want to be in my career if you're career driven. I don't think we think about that in terms of dating. I think dating is a career, and I approached it as such. I went on 3 or 4 new dates a week in my 20s when I was single during the periods that I was, you know, really trying to find a husband. And it's a numbers game. And so it's like, if you're tired, don't be like, oh, I'm so tired, I can't do this anymore. It's like when you're on the treadmill at the gym and you're like tired, what do? You're not like, well, I'm just going to quit. Like, no, I'm going to push through. And I think that's the thing. It's like, allow yourself to be frustrated and angry, but realize that that's part of the process. And I think in a job, you can see, you know, if you're in corporate America and you're not where you want to be, but you're getting promotions all the way there, you can see all the steps. Every bad date leads you closer to the right date. So that's it, you know?
Yeah. That's beautiful.
That's
Yeah, you gotta approach it, I think, with a little less emotional attachment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just let it suck if it has to suck. You know, some of us meet our significant others right away. Others, like myself, it took me 10 years of living in New York to meet him.
Wow.
Well, I hope it works out for you and Mystery Man. We're not jinxing it. We're
not
you know,
jinxing it.
all the good juju, you know. Where can everyone find you?
Anna Akana on all the social medias.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Anna.
This is
It's so
great.
great.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh
you.
my God. You are so intelligent, so funny.
Oh my
I cannot.
God,
I could have.
same.
No, I
That
was like,
Diva Cup story was so